Where do you fall on the spectrum of, do you think the world is coming to an end time in the foreseeable future?
But is the world going to come to an end? Let's say that it's entirely possible. You know, we could walk out the door today and we get hit by a comet. It happened in Russia 100 years ago. The forest came down and obliterated, 25 square miles, went up in smoke. But is it probable? My sense is that all of the predictions, the end time predictions, whatever they may be, or the reading of the New Testament as a prediction of end time, or the Mayan calendar, or in fact whatever else is coming in terms of these things, are really talking about changes in consciousness. It's the end of the world as we know it. That's a song by somebody, I guess I forget who it was, pop song. But how we see the world really depends on the nature of our consciousness. And if we only see the world in a rational, conscious way, logical way, then all of the things that are accessible only by intuition, that is our sense of fate, our sense of love, our sense of beauty and truth, beyond mathematical truth, we've lost. So that I think what it's saying is we are coming to the end of the world as we know it. And it never happens like this, like you're slicing bologna. It doesn't happen that way. If we look at the time of Jesus, which is the age of Pisces came in, that zodiac, we know that the three magi were out, as were many other people who followed astrology, knew something was going to happen. Monumental. That's why Herod killed all the kids. He believed it too. But the fact of the matter is that the world didn't change until 600 years later, when Constantine came in, or 300 years later, 600 years later, when in fact he came in and he brought Christianity into the Roman Empire. And he basically made it the official religion, and it started to spread out. And it spread throughout all of Europe and all throughout the Near East, at least. So from the time of Jesus, which was a world-changing event in terms of consciousness, no more eye for eye, tooth for tooth. Love your neighbor as yourself. It's a huge, huge change in Hebraic thinking, in Roman thinking, and all of the thinkings. Unheard of. But yet, we can go 300 years and the Christians are still being persecuted. They're living in caves, they're small. They have a changed consciousness. I think the consciousness that changed in the early Christians is something we can only imagine, because it allowed them to go to their deaths, to horrible deaths, singing. That's a change in consciousness. That's an equivalent to the Tibetan monks in Saigon who poured gasoline on themselves to stop the war. Your whole world of pain and truth and everything, it just changes. So, yet from those beginnings it eventually began to spread until we have a world today, at least in your format, where that the rule is you should love thy neighbor as thyself. That will be basically the whole thing about Jesus. Forget about the Trinity and the rest of it, but it brought love in, and it brought the female principle finally into the back into the what can you say, into our sensibility, because the age of the female gods had been put down long ago in the pre-literate stage, and the male gods came up with male thinking of logic and things like this. And what happened somewhere around the 600, 800 AD, at least in our culture, that the Virgin started to rise, until around the 12th century we see entire towns building huge cathedrals in honor of her. It took a long time for the church to catch on, another 1,000 years, but the people caught on that a female god was needed in the heavens. And that's what she supplied. That brought about the change in Western thinking. It brought about science. It brought about all the things that make us a dynamic culture, and why the Islamic culture has never changed, because it's remained entirely masculine. There are no female gods. You have to balance it out. Any high culture eventually winds up, or has to start with, a female god. Egyptian, which is the most high of cultures when you look at it from a spiritual point of view. The Greeks, even the Romans, as cruel as they were, there were female gods there, but we had to bring it back, and the Hebraic tradition had none. And in fact, the Arabic, the whole Semitic tradition has none. So it has to be, that was brought in over a period of 1,000 years, raised up finally, and then you have that huge eruption in the world of Magdalene, the world of the Virgin, all of that, the Knights Templar, all of that rebirth of the female energy, courtly love, all that stuff. So that's, I guess that's all I can say about that. I don't know if that answers your question, but it's kind of wide-ranging answer.